epidemic of the unvaccinated. Trust me, I know. Get vaccinated. Get a booster right away.
Yeah, along those lines here, kpbs.org. A box of 200 mosquitoes did the vaccinating in this malaria trial. That's not fun. A joke. It's literally part of the headline there. That's not a joke.
Yeah.
One Seattle morning, Carolina Reed sat in a room with 9 other volunteers, each waiting to take part in a clinical trial for a new experimental malaria vaccine. Reed's turn came. She put her arm over the cardboard box filled with 200 mosquitoes and covered with a mesh that keeps them in but still lets them bite. Quote, literally a Chinese food takeout container is how she remembers it. The scientist then covered her arm with a black cloth because mosquitoes like to bite at night. Okay. Then the feeding frenzy began. Quote, my whole arm swelled and blistered, said Reed. Quote, my family was laughing, asking like, why are you subjecting yourself to this? And she didn't just do it once. She did it 5 times. Mm-hmm. You may be thinking this is a joke, right? But it's not. Quote, we use the mosquitoes like they're 1,000 small flying syringes.
Cool quote.
Explains University of Washington, Seattle physician and scientist Dr. Sean Murphy, lead author on a paper in Science Translational Medicine released on August 24th, detailing the vaccine trials. The insects deliver live malaria-causing plasmodium parasites that have been genetically modified to not get people sick. The body still makes antibodies against the weakened parasite, so it's prepared to fight the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, legitimate, you can say bioengineering to some level, but the 1,000 flying syringes is pretty specific there. Why is a mosquito bite being compared to a syringe?
So this is something we've followed for quite some time, and mosquitoes are being used for a lot of different fun experiments like this. It's easy to sort of mistake this for the Florida mosquitoes, which were released in the millions, I believe, just 2021 last year, those, in hopes
the population controlled. Genetically modified mosquitoes.
They were mosquito population control experiment. This is a different one. We have touched on it in the past, where they want to use mosquitoes as vaccine delivery mechanisms. And I thought that's interesting because we've covered this idea previously, and this isn't the first time this has been talked about, but this is sort of the most recent and the most viable experiment to have happened. It's interesting because in KPBS, they say right here, to be clear, Murphy's not planning to use mosquitoes to vaccinate millions of people. Mosquitoes have been used to deliver malaria vaccines for clinical trials in the past, but it's not common. Look, those two statements
for it, but
those two statements are not mutually exclusive. You can not plan. You, Murphy, one individual, doesn't have to be planning to use mosquitoes to vaccinate millions of people. We've already heard Bill Gates talk about wanting to do this. So Murphy, you're off the hook, buddy. We're not too worried about you in particular. And then they say mosquitoes have been used to they've done this before. Okay. Yeah, we know. We've seen it before. But this is one of the most impressive ones. Now, what's not so impressive is that this particular, immune response that they were going for here, it only lasts a couple months, apparently. And I don't, I guess we're just used to that now. I guess we're just used to vaccines only lasting a couple months. But yeah, so there you go. Now, even if Murphy isn't planning on it, this is, I think, along the lines, and we could all pretty easily point out another experiment that we all kind of thought should be illegal and maybe was illegal but happened anyways and kind of got a little out of hand.
I don't know what you're talking about. You got to be more specific.
No, I'm just saying.
We're going to have a conversation about something.
No. We're not going to have any conversation about that because it will be the last conversation we ever have on YouTube. I'm just saying, hypothetically, somebody out there might have an example.
Look at you, the googly-eyed man censoring his words. Look at that. Beautifully done.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, probably the only reason we're still allowed on the internet.
I know. I get it. There's
Guns,
a
why
quote here.
say it if we don't have to say it? Let me finish my thought.
Okay.
The thought is, obviously, this is going to get out of hand, and it aligns with some long-standing plans with, global health leaders' wildest dreams that they have not previously been worried about talking about publicly, but for some reason, they seem to be a little worried now.
Yeah, the article continues here, and it says, quote, "They went old school with this one," said Dr. Kristen Leike, a physician and vaccine researcher at the University of Maryland School of Medicine who was not involved in the study. Quote, "All things old become new again."
Mm.
Wow.
Okay.
Interesting, considering that Bible passage about there's nothing new under the sun for scientists to be, referring. What is she referring to? Something recent? Or was she talking about, you talked about this idea of the elite using something like this to distribute some kind of medicine, being sort of the dream of the elite, but also, kind of the point of our show is always pointing to scripture and being like, hey, the idea is not very new. It was at least documented here back in Revelation 9, in the book of Revelation, couple thousand years ago. The fifth trumpet talks about the locust. Right here from verse 7, and the locusts look like horses prepared for battle with something like crowns of gold on their heads, something like it, and faces like the faces of men. Okay, weird. All right. Okay, they're locusts, but they have faces of men, but they're prepared like horses in battle. They got these gold crowns. They had hair like that of a woman and teeth like those of lions. They also had thoraxes like breastplates of iron. I like this translation. This
thorax.
Is a Berean Standard Bible translation. I like that. The thorax like breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was like the roar of many horses and chariots rushing into battle. They had tails with stingers like scorpions, which had the power to injure people for 5 months. And they were ruled by the king of the abyss, Abaddon, Apollyon. So it seems like this whole thing is inspired by perhaps Abaddon or Apollyon. Not necessarily
You're
these
just
entities.
making crazy connections, Gons. You crazy guy.
These ideas. I mean, you're invoking. What are you invoking here? If you're using the design of insects or creatures
Gons,
that crawl.
Read this woman who got the nice swollen puffy arm, got paid $4,100 to get about 200 mosquito bites. All right, that's good money in today's economy.
Well,
that can get you like 2 tanks of gas.
That'll get you like $3, $4 a year, maybe, based on some savings accounts.
So Daily Wire also did a kind of a write-up of a write-up. They did an article that just refers to this NPR article, which is a common practice, thankfully, in our legacy news media. Says here, Dr. Kristen Leike, a physician and vaccine researcher at the University of Maryland School of Medicine, told NPR, quote, "They went old school with this one," kind of a repeat here, quote, "all things become new again," she said, adding that developing such genetically modified live parasites has proven to be a total game changer. According to the university's Twitter page, Leike led the phase 1 trials for the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine and served as co-investigator for the Moderna and Novavax COVID-19 vaccine trials. So she knows what she's doing. Come on. She worked for... How could the same person do the phase 1 trials for Pfizer and Moderna and Novavax
and mosquitoes?
And mosquitoes. Same lady. She's doing the mosquito trials. Researchers believe the experimental approach could result in a more effective vaccine in the future, considering the world's first malaria jab only has an efficacy rate of 30 to 40%, according to the World Health Organization. Quote, "We think we can obviously do better." Stephen Kapi, an author of the study and parasitologist at the University of Washington, Seattle, and Seattle's Children's Research Institute, told NPR, adding that, quote, "increasing production capability to scale up manufacturing will require investment. Oh, it's always requiring investment, Gons. We always need more investment. The team said they would eventually transfer the vaccine into syringes rather than mosquitoes to get a more accurate dosage.
Yeah, but what if those syringes are attached to robots or something, or genetically modified scorpion?
Yeah, sure, it could be. It's interesting because the case they're trying to make, and we've heard this before, like it's even mentioned in here, they've been kind of doing this since 2018, which means we've been covering it since 2018. This is the first time that I've heard that they are not planning on using the mosquitoes to surreptitiously vaccinate people. It seems like there's been a change in messaging. Probably because the sort of secret vaccination plan wouldn't go over very well right now.
Yeah, they did the test and it didn't go well. So yeah, they're not going to tell us.
Not everybody's super into that.
I don't need the details to go out.
Yeah. Using the mosquitoes as a manufacturing vector is the weird part, because usually, like the flu vaccine is manufactured within chicken eggs.
Well, this is still an example of the lady being part of the experiment, just using humans as part of the experiment. Anyway,
I'm sorry, I missed you out. I missed you. You're saying instead of chicken eggs, using this lady?
Well, this lady's already part of it, so there's already a human.
Are you talking about the test subject or the scientist here? Who are you talking about?
The test subject. I'm saying they're already experimenting, so it's not like to do it in the population is not that big of a step.
That's the point I'm making.
Okay.
They're trying to say that the mosquito is just a manufacturing vector,
right,
and not a delivery vector. But why are you even testing the mosquitoes and letting them bite people to see if it gives them the vaccine? It doesn't make any sense.
Some
it seems like there's
data,
just a messaging issue than it is like what they're actually trying to do. Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very subtle pivot. Somebody could easily be like, oh, okay, yeah, they're using eggs for a flu vaccine vector to manufacture the thing. That makes sense. They just want to use mosquitoes here. Well, then why are they testing the mosquito bite as a delivery mechanism? Yeah, don't ask too many questions, okay? They said they're going to put it in a syringe. Let them put it in a syringe. Trust the science, Gons.
I don't know, man. It's all sort of becoming weirder and weirder, to be honest with you. But okay.
That's true.
All right.